I had a player tell me, dude, that guy is so hard to play for if you don't take care of your business. He said, if you show up every day, on time, committed, you bust your ass, that dude you'll love him. If you don't, you're late to meetings. You olay a play at the goal line. He said every week there's going to be a film session called lowlights. And those lowlights are in front of the entire team, and you get destroyed. He said, if you can't handle that, you can't play for him. He said, but that dude will fix the locker room in one day.
So Vrabel is a 3-time Super Bowl champion with the New England Patriots, learned under the learning tree of Bill Belichick. So at this point in time, he's the Cleveland Browns coaching and personnel consultant. So he's around the building with the Cleveland Browns. Again, they're losing again. The Tennessee Titans, he was there from 2018 to 2023. He's also been at Ohio State as a linebackers coach and defensive line coach and worked his way to be a head coach. Now he's looking for a second opportunity. And I think that no matter the hard-nosed style in which he played or how he coached, Cap, I think this is who he is. I find it interesting that after his time with the Titans that his name wasn't hot to be able to be a coach in 2024, but maybe just taking a step back was good for him. But now that you hear his name a lot more often, he will have a coaching job. Of course, the question is always the same for all of these guys. Can the Bears handle it? Can the Bears handle that type of change? That's the question. I as a fan, I can handle it. That doesn't I know that he can be a winning coach with this team, but it's just that the way things have gone, it's deeper than I want him as a personality. It's someone that can help out this locker room. Because when you have Coach Brown saying in his press conference, yeah, we got to bring this locker room back together. Too many fractures in the locker room.
Yep.
Fractures in the locker room. That's not good.
No.
So Vrabel is someone that can galvanize the room in that regard. Does that mean, Shea, a Super Bowl championship or perennial playoff team? I don't know. But this locker room needs fixing, meaning getting rid of players or straightening out the players that you already have, because having these different – I said factions mistakenly, but it is factions. These people over here, these people over here. This guy's got a radio show. This guy's got a podcast. They're speaking openly, negatively against the Bears. That's a problem. You can't have that. You're having that with Philadelphia, and they're winning. Okay. How would you like to be that kind of team and losing? That's even worse. It compounds the problem when you're speaking openly about the coach and the way the style of play, and you're losing. So Vrabel could galvanize it in that regard. Does that mean you're better than the Lions or the Packers or the Vikings? I don't know.
No, he has – there's a lot that has to happen. He's got to sit down and he's got to vibe with Ryan Poles. Mm-hmm. If they're not on the same page of how you build a championship-caliber football team, then it's never going to happen.
Shea, I asked you to ask Albert Breer because he's a national reporter, reports everything in the NFL, but he has an intimate knowledge about the New England Patriots in that building in Foxborough. What did Albert say about Vrabel as far as if he's a Belichick-like disciple, like Patricia and these other guys?
He told me that he's not. He's like Belichick in that he's a hard ass, but the players love him, which is different from Belichick because if you remember, I think it was the Apple documentary. I can't remember which player said it, but somebody said Belichick was the coach, but we played for Tom. Mm-hmm. So I don't think Belichick was ever beloved at any stage in New England. Breer seemed to think in Tennessee, Vrabel was beloved, despite being a hard ass.
There you have it. From Albert Breer.
Yeah. I mean, look, when you have a broken locker room, and that is not my words, that is the current head coach, Thomas Brown. Yeah, we've got to fix this. We're fractured. We're this. And people have repeatedly said, your building has issues. Mm-hmm. Well, then you've got to have a guy who's got big-ass shoulders. He's got to be able to come in and go, get out of my way. We're about one thing here, winning. And we're going to fix this once and for all. But that means George has to get out of the way. He can't worry about Mike Vrabel uses salty language. Oh, I don't like the language. Mm-hmm. Get out of the way. Stay in your skybox, stay in your lane, and let the football people go to work. And from what I was told, Mike Vrabel's not coming here to report to Kevin Warren. He may be the president. He's coming in to run the football team in that locker room. He'll work with Poles, but he is not reporting. He reports to one person, the owner.
That's the way it's supposed to be.
The big name guys, that's how it is.
Yeah, that's the way it's supposed to be. Kevin Warren has to work on how to be able to get this stadium built and the operations around the Chicago Bears, but the football people need to take care of the football things. Because anytime that you have someone that's going to overstep, be a habitual line stepper, Cap, and be in a position where, hey, you know what, I'm the president, so I'm going to flex all my power, I'm going to find out football. Listen, it's not your expertise. It just isn't. So I would say that it's on Ryan Poles. And I still believe, Cap, that it's on Ryan Poles to select the right guys for the draft and free agency and find the head coach. Ultimately, it's going to be on Ryan's shoulders and his staff, and rightfully so. And if it doesn't work with Vrabel, as I mentioned before, I'm a big fan of Brian Flores with a second opportunity. I think it's a weird thing with Flores, though, because he's still in the league even though he's suing the league. It's weird. Like, he's still in the league, but he's still got the lawsuit out. But I think he's going to coach again. And you know the flavor of the month is Ben Johnson. I just don't. If you're Ben Johnson, sure, you love to have an opportunity to be a head coach, but you see the Bears twice a year. You're looking at other sideline. And do you think, I could fix that? Or, man, am I just comfortable right here under the spell and under the team led by Campbell, by Coach Campbell, Dan Campbell? I mean, he has to look at that other sideline, Ben Johnson, and say, oh, my God, look at that mess over there. They want me? I don't know.
Reportedly, he wants them. Again, all we're hearing now, all the rumors, is Ben Johnson wants this job. He loves Caleb Williams. This is what he wants to do.
He has to know everything about the organization, though. Like, he looks at it probably from a football standpoint. What about the rest of it?
I have to know more about him as the person. He can coach. How is he without Penei Sewell, Frank Ragnow, who's there, Taylor Decker? How is he without those guys?
I mean, that's the question. Like,
hey, what are we doing getting our guy sacked? Well, you don't have Taylor Decker, Frank Ragnow, Penei Sewell. Yeah. You've got Braxton Jones, Tevin Jenkins.
If I've got, like, tunnel vision, Cap, and I'm like, boy, I really like the asset. I like the quarterback, and I like the wide receivers. If that's all you see, you need to see the rest of it.
Yes.
I don't mean like the defense in person. I'm talking about behind the scenes, Hallis Hall, George, that whole dynamic. You might say, well, I can make this offense work, but what about your defense? And then what about Kevin Warren? And then what about – there's a lot more than just being the OC/head coach of the Chicago Bears. There's a lot more to it. I think some have taken this job and said, you know what, I can fix this offense or I can fix this defense. And that's their tunnel vision. But then the rest of it, Cap, like, are you going to be able – is there enough money on the table for you to get the free agents that you want? Can you get a jet and fly out wherever you want to fly out to be able to get recruits or free agents?
Right. Like, how are we doing business here? Are we going to step up and be first class in everything we do?
Yeah.
Or are we flying Dan Quinn in here in a middle seat in the back of the plane and coach?
Jay Moore, it's the equivalent of you getting a radio job and saying, wow, they got great headphones. Well, what about the rest of it? Like, do you get paid or?
Boy, how come this sound doesn't sound the same way it did when he was doing Cap and Hood? Because they didn't buy him a computer.
It all matters. You definitely have to see the whole picture before you take the job.
Yeah.
But I don't think he's leaving until the Lions either make the Super Bowl or win the Super Bowl, because they have something that they built special there. And I know these OCs and DCs have the urgency to try to get a head coaching job.
Sure.
But he probably not going to leave, man.
I mean, I don't know. Everybody that's in that position, ask Cap as an assistant at NIU. Cap was hoping at some point that someone would come calling. Did you not?
They did.
I mean, you were hoping, like I'm an assistant now, man, but you know what? I love this coaching staff, but I would do this differently. Mm-hmm. I'm on the team, but I'm not the head coach, but I would tighten that. I would do that. I would do that. Sitting in a producer's chair, working Murph and Fred, I would have a yellow pad, and I'd have a line down the middle, and I would write down the strengths and the weaknesses. When I get a chance to be a host, I won't be doing these things.
Right.
Because you had to get ready for that.
You had to.
Same thing as an OC or DC. You just I like what they're doing, but man, if I had an opportunity, this is how I would run it. Right? Same with you.
Fair.
So I don't know, Cap. My hope is that whoever gets the job, and that includes Vrabel, if it's him, he has to know the whole picture. And if he thinks that the picture is kind of raggedy, but he still likes the opportunity, he's got to be a conduit to fix it, to fix things at House Hall.
Fair.
To try, you have to. So I don't know.
Yeah, it's.
I like Flores. I like Ben Johnson. But Vrabel would be on my list as well.
Yeah, I would interview all of those guys. Again, flavor of the day, that's what Ben Johnson, an accomplished coach. How is he without that offensive line?
I feel flavor of the day, I think, is so reductive, though. And especially when you think about what this division is, it's tracking to be the best division in the history of the league.
Yeah.
And it's all first-time head coaches. Kevin O'Connell, first-time coach. Dan Campbell, first-time coach. Matt LaFleur, first-time coach.
Yeah.
You can go even further. Almost the entire NFC playoff field is first-time head coaches, whether it's Mike McDonald, first year in Seattle, McVay, a first-time head coach in L.A., like, this is the way the league is going. It's first-time coaches.
I don't disagree. It
who
does
were
not
Wonder
mean
Boy
he can do the
coordinators.
job. It does not mean that.
I get that, Cap, but just because the Bears have gone kind of the half-ass route and hired the cheaper flavor of the day in the past and guys like Matt Nagy, doesn't mean it can't work now. Like, it's working everywhere in the league.
Yes. Better, but better organizations, though.
Yeah, but also they're better organizations because they paid at the top shelf for these coordinators. They didn't half-ass it with Matt Nagy.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, I like all these guys that could be the next head coach for the Chicago Bears, Cap, because here's the thing. You're lagging behind the Packers always. And the Lions are that team that could make it to the Super Bowl, and then the Vikings are good, too. You get tired of getting your blank kicked in, being in last place, being the worst of the four.